All right, so are you ready to dive into one of those mysteries that just never gets old? We're talking about the Illuminati. But, and here's the twist, we're not going through the same old conspiracy theories this time. We've got something way more interesting up our sleeves. A transcript from a hypnotic regression session. Yeah, you heard that right. Hypnotic regression.
Yeah.
And get this, it was on an Italian YouTube channel. Talk about going straight to the source.
It really is like tapping into this raw, unfiltered information, bypassing all the usual speculation and noise.
Exactly. Now, full disclosure, we're going to be treating this material as if it's all factual, just for the sake of this deep dive. But obviously, critical thinking is always encouraged. We want you to listen, analyze, and ultimately come to your own conclusions. And to help us decode all the esoteric and metaphysical stuff we're about to encounter, well, we've got our expert here, of course.
Let's just say I've always been fascinated by these systems of hidden knowledge. They offer a really interesting glimpse into the forces that might be shaping our world, even if they're operating, from the shadows.
Okay, so picture this. The subject is under hypnosis, and they start describing a scene that sounds straight out of, like, a secret society thriller. Powerful families gathering in a secluded castle, taking an oath to form a nation of power. I don't know about you, but I'm already getting some serious Dan Brown vibes here.
When you think about that phrase, nation of power, it really makes you think. It suggests a group that operates beyond borders, above the laws and regulations that, govern us regular people, almost like a shadow empire, pulling strings and influencing global events, all for their own benefit, of course.
And get this, they didn't just randomly pick a date to establish this nation of power. According to the subject, they specifically chose a date that was aligned with, like, a powerful metaphysical energy flow, almost like they were tapping into some sort of cosmic power grid or something.
Yeah, and this is where things get really interesting. You see, in a lot of esoteric traditions, specific dates are believed to hold unique energetic significance. Like, think of them as spiritual power spots, but in time. So it wouldn't be surprising if a group like the Illuminati, if they exist, of course, would be aware of these subtle forces and tried to use them to their advantage.
And of course, every good secret society needs its symbols, right?
Okay.
Well, the subject in this hypnotic regression doesn't disappoint. They describe seeing a pyramid, a sun, even a fish transforming into an eye. And let's not forget the hand gestures, the infamous 666 and the OK sign.
And each of these symbols carries so many layers of meaning. They often tap into these archetypal images and subconscious associations that we all have. Take the pyramid, for example. It represents hierarchy, with the elite few at the top, holding power over everyone below. It's a really powerful visual metaphor for their ambition to control the world.
What about that fish transforming into an eye, though? That's not exactly your typical secret society symbol.
It's a striking image of transformation, and maybe even manipulation. Think about it. The fish, which is a symbol of faith in so many cultures, morphing into this all-seeing eye. It could represent a forced awakening, a kind of subversion of belief systems for their own agenda. And it makes you wonder, right? Are we surrounded by these kinds of coded symbols every day, influencing us without us even realizing it?
And those hand gestures. They've become so commonplace, especially online. It's almost like they've infiltrated our everyday communication.
It's like they're hiding in plain sight, using these gestures to identify themselves to each other, communicating their allegiance in a world that's totally oblivious to their schemes.
It's creepy when you think about it. Like, suddenly everything you see could have this hidden meaning, a secret message just for those who are in the know. It makes you look at, like, Instagram posts and stuff in a whole new light, doesn't it?
It definitely makes you question the nature of reality, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Like, are we really seeing the world as it truly is, or are we being subtly manipulated by forces beyond our comprehension?
All right, so hold on tight, because things are about to get even weirder as we go deeper into this hypnotic regression. We're about to venture into the realm of alien DNA and interdimensional entities.
Oh, yeah, you might want to grab your tinfoil hat for this next part. We're about to explore some truly mind-blowing concepts.
Okay, so we've got these powerful families, their hidden symbols, an obsession with, like, cosmic energy. But here's the thing. It turns out that's just the tip of the iceberg. In this next part of the hypnotic regression, the subject starts digging into the DNA of these supposed Illuminati members. And let me tell you, the results are not your typical Ancestry.com reveal.
Yeah, get ready for this. We're about to go deep into the world of genetic manipulation and alien hybridization. It's interesting. In some esoteric traditions, they believe that DNA is more than just, a biological blueprint. They see it as a carrier of consciousness, like a cosmic code that connects us to the universe.
Okay, I'm already getting goosebumps. So what does the subject find when they peek into the DNA of these Illuminati bigwigs?
Brace yourself. The subject describes seeing hybrid DNA, a mix of human and, wait for it, insectoid origins.
Insectoid. You mean like giant cockroaches running around in tiny tuxedos calling the shots?
Not quite. The subject specifically mentions mantids, those praying mantis-like beings that are all over alien lore.
Okay, so maybe not cockroaches.
Yeah.
But still, alien mantises pulling the strings of global power. That's a twist I definitely didn't see coming. What do we even know about these mantids? What makes them qualified for world domination?
Well, if you look at ufology, mantids are often portrayed as incredibly intelligent, technologically advanced, and masters of strategy. Some people even believe they have like a hive mind consciousness, which would allow them to operate with unbelievable efficiency and coordination.
A hive mind. So like a collective intelligence where everyone's thoughts and actions are in sync. That's both amazing and kind of terrifying at the same time. No wonder they're always one step ahead.
Exactly. It'd be like an organic supercomputer, constantly processing information and making decisions at lightning speed. And if we believe what the subject is saying, these mantids are heavily involved in manipulating technology and artificial intelligence for their own purposes.
Okay, this is starting to feel like a mix of the X-Files and Invasion of the Body Snatchers. But wait, there's more. The subject mentions hitting a wall, like some sort of protective system is preventing them from getting any deeper.
This is where it gets really interesting. In many esoteric practices, you see, there are these energetic blocks. They can shield sensitive information or prevent, like, unauthorized access. Maybe these blocks are intentional safeguards, or maybe they're subconscious defenses triggered by fear or trauma.
So like a cosmic firewall, protecting the secrets of the universe. How do you even break through something like that?
Well, according to the subject, they experience this sudden frequency shock. It's like they get jolted into a different energetic state. And it allows them to descend into what they describe as a dark dimension.
The dark dimension. That sounds not good. What exactly is going on in this dimension, and how does it connect to the Illuminati and their mantid overlords?
Think of this dimension as a place of low vibrational energy, where negative emotions like fear, anger, despair, they all fester and gain power. Some esoteric traditions believe that these negative emotions can actually fuel certain entities, giving them strength and influence.
Well then, are you saying that our negative emotions have, like, a real effect on this other dimension? Like, our bad vibes are literally powering these shadowy beings?
It's a mind-bending concept, isn't it? But it aligns with the idea that we're all interconnected in some way. That our thoughts and emotions have ripple effects, effects that go beyond our individual experience. It's why practices like meditation and mindfulness are so important. They help us cultivate positive emotions and raise our vibrational frequency, essentially shielding ourselves from these lower vibrational influences.
Okay, so that's a bit more hopeful. But what about this whole schematizing humanity thing? The subject claims that's the ultimate goal of these entities, to strip away our individuality and free will, turning us into just like a controllable energy source. It's like they want to turn us all into mindless drones.
And it's interesting, right? Because if we look at the trends in our own society, we can actually see some disturbing parallels. The push towards globalization, the increasing reliance on technology, the erosion of privacy, all of these things can be seen as parts of this schematization process. It's all about creating a world where individuals are more and more homogenized, predictable, easy to control.
It's like they're trying to turn us into this giant ant colony, with everyone marching in lockstep serving the queen. Speaking of ants, remember those mantids with their hive mind? Are they just pawns in all of this? Or are they the ones calling the shots?
That's the big question, isn't it? It's possible that the mantids are just another layer of control. Maybe they're a more advanced race that's been, co-opted by these interdimensional entities. Or maybe they're in on the scheme, reaping their own benefits from all this cosmic manipulation. The truth, as always, is hard to pin down.
This is all so mind-boggling. So we've got these interdimensional entities pulling the strings, the Illuminati doing their dirty work here on Earth, and the mantids, well, maybe they're running their own game. It's like a cosmic game of chess, and we're just the pawns. But wait, there's even more. The subject also talks about rituals being used to harvest energy, which adds a whole other level of creepiness to this whole thing.
Rituals have always been this powerful tool for manipulating energy and consciousness. Think about it. Religious ceremonies, political rallies, even sporting events. They all involve rituals that create a shared energy field, a kind of collective emotional state. And if you know how to manipulate those energies, well, The possibilities are pretty much endless.
So it's like they're hacking into our collective psyche, using our own rituals against us. Which brings us back to one of the symbols the subject mentioned, the fish transforming into an eye. They linked it to the Christian Jesus fish. That's a pretty bold move.
It's a fascinating example of how symbols can be like appropriated and reinterpreted, you know?
Okay.
The fish, a symbol of faith and abundance in many cultures, gets twisted into something sinister. An all-seeing eye representing control and manipulation. It's like they're taking our most sacred beliefs and weaponizing them against us.
The subject's conclusion is even more chilling. They believe the Illuminati have infiltrated religion to push their agenda, creating this container for human consciousness, limiting our spiritual potential. It's like they're using religion to keep us trapped in this spiritual cage.
It's a really thought-provoking idea, and it forces us to take a hard look at the role of organized religion in our lives. I mean, religion can provide comfort, guidance, a sense of community, but it can also be a tool for control and manipulation. It's up to each of us to, figure out the truth for ourselves, to find our own path to spiritual enlightenment without being limited by dogma or fear.
So after all this, the big question remains, are the Illuminati real? And if they are, what are they really capable of?
We've explored some pretty extraordinary claims today, coming from a really unique and intriguing source. It's up to each of you to decide what you believe. But one thing's for sure, whether you believe in secret societies, alien overlords, interdimensional entities, whatever, it's clear that there are powerful forces at play in our world. Forces that want to control and manipulate us.
It's a sobering thought, but it's also a call to action. We need to be aware of these forces, to question the narratives we're being fed, and to reclaim our power as individuals, to cultivate critical thinking, trust our intuition, and connect with our own inner wisdom.
Yeah, and maybe most importantly, we need to remember that we're not alone in this. We are all connected. And together we have the power to resist manipulation and create a world where truth, freedom, and love prevail.
That's a message we can all get behind. So thank you for joining us on this crazy journey into the depths of the Illuminati mystery. We hope it's given you something to think about, and hey, maybe even a few sleepless nights. Until next time, keep seeking knowledge, keep questioning everything, and keep shining your light. Okay, so we're back, and I gotta say, I'm a little on edge after that last part. We're about to meet the entity in this dark dimension, and the subject's description is pretty creepy. A hive mind, dark, almost demonic looking, not exactly who you want to run into in a dark alley, right?
It's interesting, isn't it, how these demonic entities pop up all over the place. Across cultures throughout history, they often represent this shadow self, those hidden parts of our psyche, the stuff we try to repress or deny. It makes you wonder, are these entities actually real beings? Or are they just like symbolic representations of our own inner darkness?
I've always been kind of fascinated by that idea of the shadow self.
Yeah.
Like, what happens to those parts of ourselves that we try to bury deep down? Do they just fester and grow stronger in the darkness?
That's a great question. In this case, at least, the subject experiences these entities as very real and definitely powerful. But yeah, it's possible they're projecting their own fears and anxieties onto these figures. We are dealing with the subconscious mind here, which operates on a whole other level, a world of symbols and metaphors.
Right, but here's where it gets really freaky. The subject claims that this hive mind entity group, this is the real power behind the Illuminati, they're even controlling other alien races, apparently. It's like they're the puppet masters of the entire universe, pulling all the strings.
Yeah, that's a pretty big claim. But the idea of interdimensional beings messing with our reality, it's not exactly new, is it? Lots of esoteric traditions believe that these beings exist on a higher vibrational plane, and that they can influence our world through these subtle energetic means. And the idea of humans being like energy sources for these entities, well, that's been a popular theme in conspiracy theories and sci-fi forever.
Okay, but why us? What makes human energy so special that these interdimensional beings would go through all this trouble to, like, harvest it?
Some people think that human emotions, especially strong ones like fear, anger, despair, they generate this really powerful energy that these entities can feed on. It's almost like they're tapping into our collective emotional grid, siphoning energy from all our anxieties and conflicts.
So basically you're saying our negative emotions are literally feeding these things. That's a pretty depressing thought. Are we all just batteries in some giant interdimensional energy farm?
Well, that's one way to look at it, I guess. But it's important to remember that we still have free will. We can choose to focus on cultivating positive emotions, things like love, joy, compassion. By raising our vibrational frequency, we can make ourselves less vulnerable to these negative influences. It's not about denying the darkness, but about choosing to align with the light.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better. But what about this whole schematizing humanity business? The subject says that's their ultimate goal, to strip away our individuality and free will and turn us into like a completely controllable energy source, like turning us all into a bunch of mindless robots.
And what's interesting? When we look at what's happening in our society, there are some pretty disturbing parallels. The push for globalization, our increasing reliance on technology, the erosion of privacy. You could see all of these things as part of this schematization process. It's about creating a world where individuals are more and more homogenized, predictable, easy to control.
It's like they're trying to turn us into this giant ant colony where everyone just follows orders and serves the queen. And speaking of ants, remember those mantids with their hive mind? Are they just pawns in all of this, or are they the ones calling the shots?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
It's possible that the mantids are just another layer of control. Maybe they're a more advanced race that's been co-opted by these interdimensional entities. Or maybe they're in on it, getting their own piece of the pie from this whole cosmic manipulation scheme. Who knows? The truth is always slippery.
This whole thing is mind-blowing, really. So we've got these interdimensional entities pulling the strings, the Illuminati doing their dirty work here on Earth, and the mantids, well, maybe they're playing their own games, like some kind of cosmic chess match, and we're just the pieces. Oh, but wait, there's more. This subject also mentions rituals, apparently used to harvest energy, which just adds another layer of creepiness to this whole thing.
Rituals have always been a powerful way to manipulate energy and consciousness. Think about it. Religious ceremonies, political rallies, even sporting events. They all use rituals to create this shared energy field, a kind of collective emotional state. And if you know how to manipulate those energies, well, you can do pretty much anything.
It's like they're hacking into our collective psyche, using our own rituals against us. Which brings us back to one of the symbols the subject mentioned earlier, the fish transforming into an eye. They connected it to the Christian Jesus fish, which is pretty bold if you ask me.
It really is a fascinating example of how symbols can be appropriated and reinterpreted. The fish, which is a symbol of faith and abundance in so many cultures, it gets twisted into something sinister, an all-seeing eye that represents control and manipulation, like they're taking our most sacred beliefs and turning them into weapons.
And the subject's conclusion is even more chilling. They believe the Illuminati have infiltrated religion specifically to push their agenda. They're creating this container for human consciousness, limiting our spiritual potential. It's like they're using religion to keep us trapped in a spiritual cage.
That's a pretty provocative idea. And it makes us really think about the role of organized religion in our lives, doesn't it? I mean, religion can be a source of comfort, guidance, a sense of community, but it can also be used for control and manipulation. In the end, it's up to each of us to figure out what we believe, to find our own path to spiritual enlightenment without being held back by dogma or fear.
So after all this, the big question still remains. Are the Illuminati real? And if they are, what are they truly capable of?
We've explored some pretty wild claims today, drawn from this really unique and fascinating source. It's up to each of you listening to decide what you believe. But one thing's for sure. Whether you buy into secret societies, alien overlords, interdimensional entities, whatever it is, there are definitely powerful forces at play in our world. Forces that want to control and manipulate us.
It's a sobering thought, but it's also a call to action. We need to be aware of these forces, to question the stories we're being told, and to take back our power as individuals. We need to think critically, trust our intuition, and connect with our own inner wisdom.
And most importantly, we need to remember that we're not alone in this. We are all connected. And together, we have the power to resist manipulation and create a world where truth, freedom, and love prevail.
Now that's something we can all get behind. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the mysteries of the Illuminati. We hope it's given you plenty to think about and maybe even kept you up at night. Until next time, keep seeking knowledge, keep questioning everything, and keep shining your light.